In this week's Jaunts with John T, I continue my bucket list quest to visit every major league park in the country and one in Canada. This time I will continue my tour of all of the Western Division stadiums by visiting Petco Park in San Diego, California, and Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. Howdy, and welcome to Jaunts with John T. I am John T, and this week I am continuing my bucket list quest to visit every major league ballpark in the country and one in Canada. As I continue to tick off the Western Division, I am here in Phoenix, Arizona to see the Arizona Diamondbacks play the Cardinals, and I'm at Chase Field here in Phoenix. Now, I'll tell you something, right now it is, I want to say it's about 115 degrees outside, otherwise I'd be recording this outside, but it is too darn hot out there. But luckily, Chase Field is an indoor stadium, so in here it is a pleasant and balmy, I'd say about 75 degrees. So it's very nice, very pleasant. Now, as this is a stadium I've never been to before, this is also going to give me an opportunity to scratch off one more stadium off of the poster that I got from my oldest Nat for Father's Day or Christmas or something many years ago. So I'm going to be scratching one more stadium off of that poster after I get home from seeing this game. Now, to begin with, I'm actually going to go back in time a little bit to when I went to San Diego, California and saw the San Diego Padres play in Petco Park. So let's go back then, and then when we're done, we'll come back here and check out Chase Field. The San Diego Padres were founded in 1969 as a National League expansion franchise along with the Montreal Expos. The Padres adopted their name from the Pacific Coast League team that arrived in San Diego in 1936. Initially, the Padres played in the San Diego Stadium, which was renamed to Qualcomm Park in 1997 and SDCCU Stadium in 2017, after the Padres had stopped playing there. The construction of the stadium was intended to be part of a comprehensive plan to revitalize San Diego's aging downtown, particularly the East Village area. The ballpark was scheduled to open for the 2002 season, however, construction was suspended temporarily for legal and political reasons. The resulting delays required the Padres to play the 2002 and 2003 seasons at Qualcomm Stadium, while opening day for Petco Park was delayed until 2004. This is a Friar Frank, so it looks really good. And all the food selections here look good, so if this is good, then they may just get a perfect 5 for food. Let's check it out. All right, let's try out the Friar Frank.
Hey, huge hole on that right side. Nothing wrong with the first and third action here. Pound him inside with that.
Try one more bite.
Keep the ball on the left side to get a ground ball. 6 balls in a row. Make it 7, 3-0. Just trying to do the last 2.
That's a good hot dog.
Shoots his back.
Using the scale of a Costco hot dog being a 10, this is probably solid 7.5 maybe?
Back to that walk to the 16.
And the rest of the food here looks so good. Definitely gonna give them a high ranking for food. Okay, so let's rate and rank Petco Park. Now, in terms of historical significance, the park frankly isn't terribly historically significant, except I guess for the fact that the building of any Major League Baseball park has some historical significance. Plus, it was part of the revitalization of a historical part of San Diego, so I guess that has something, you know. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 for historical significance. Now, for location, I really don't see how you can get much better. This is a beautiful urban location. Now, it doesn't have much parking, but as I've said in the past, you know, I can't really ding an urban location for not having great parking, so long as it has a really nice location. And this location is absolutely beautiful. You've got the views of the bay, and you've got the integration of the historical building. These are all things I'll talk about in more detail when I get into aesthetics. And of course, you've got the Gaslight District right next door with restaurants and bars and all kinds of entertainment. And that's not to mention the Omni Hotel right next door with a walkway that takes you directly into the ballpark. You can't really use that walkway unless you're either staying at or parking at the Omni Hotel, but still that's a pretty cool feature. Now, the only thing I can really ding them on is the fact that it is difficult to navigate the streets if you get there late like I did. So if you are driving, I would suggest getting there early. I give Petco Park a 9.5 for location. Now, for exterior aesthetics, this isn't the most impressive park from the exterior that you've ever seen. But as you get closer to the park and as you enter the park, you do start to realize that it does have a certain charm all its own. It has this wonderful kind of grand staircase that enters the park, which is flanked by waterfalls, which is really quite beautiful. It's definitely not the most impressive or beautiful exterior I've ever seen, but it's also not really offensive either. Now, the interior of the building is absolutely fantastic. This is a ballpark that is meant to be experienced from inside. The hallways are wide and spacious and fantastic. It has these verandas with these spectacular views of the city and the bay, not to mention the historical Western Metal Supply building, which is integrated right into the outfield. And one of the things that's really great about the integration of the historical building is that it not only impacts the beautiful views that you have while you're in the seats, but it also impacts how you view the building from inside and from the hallways and things like that, because you walk through that building as you go from one place to another inside the hallways. It's really a fantastic interior. I give Petco Park a 3.5 for exterior aesthetics and a 4.5 for interior aesthetics for a total of 7.5. As for merchandise, the team store was quite large, and I love the fact that it was at the ground level and you could get it at both from outside of the park as well as inside. Now, the selection was frankly the best that I've seen since the Oakland Alameda Stadium. Now, it of course did not have any merchandise kind of celebrating the stadium itself, but I can't really ding Petco Park for that. Now, Dodger Stadium, a historical stadium like that, them I'm going to ding for not having Dodger Stadium merchandise, but not Petco Park. Now, the food selection was excellent. Now, obviously, I just had a hot dog, but I saw a lot of other people walking around with stuff that they had bought in the different food establishments, and all of it looked really, really quite delicious. In terms of the hot dog, it was a good hot dog. It wasn't a great hot dog, but it was a good hot dog. It had good snap, it had good flavor, it had good texture, the bun was soft. It was a good enough hot dog that it certainly wasn't going to knock down their score for food. It wasn't going to bring it up at all either, but it wasn't going to knock it. I give them a 4.5 for merchandise, and frankly, based on the selection and what I saw of the food that you could get at Petco Park, I'm going to give them a perfect 5 for food, giving them a total of 9.5 for food and merchandise. I really don't see how the game viewing experience could get much better than what you have at Petco Park. In the field level seats, which is where I was sitting, they were comfortable and they were angled nicely towards the home plate. The scoreboards were visible from everywhere in the park and were easy to read. The upper levels also seem to have a very nice view with some very nice verandas, open verandas overlooking the field. This really is a park that seems to have been built with the fan in mind. I give them a 9.5 for game viewing experience. All right, well, let's talk about overall vibe. Now, as a side note, in researching this series of videos, I was looking into the question of which Major League Baseball teams have the largest fan bases. And frankly, I assumed that it was going to be Yankees and Dodgers, number 1, number 2, one or the other. And in one ranking that I saw, they did indeed rank the Yankees as the first, but they ranked Dodgers as the third. And in another one, they ranked the Dodgers as the first and the Yankees as the third. But in both of those rankings, they said that the second most popular franchise in the Major League Baseball is the San Diego Padres. And that really surprised me. Now, that may have surprised me at the time, but it didn't surprise me considering what the crowd was like at Petco Park the night that I was there. Now, again, the usual caveat about the vibe can change from one night to another, but let me tell you, the joint was absolutely rocking. These fans love their San Diego Padres, and they were showing the love at that game, I will tell you that. Now, if Yankee Stadium in the 7th game of the World Series is a 10, I got to give them an 8.5 in terms of overall vibe. Now, that gives Petco Park a total of 51, and that puts them firmly in first place so far in the rankings. Okay, now before we move on to Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona, as usual, I've got a big favor to ask. Once again, I'm trying to get to every Major League ballpark in the Western Division this season. I'm not sure if I can make it, but if you want to help me out here, help to convince me to make that push for the final 2 stadiums, and if you watch the whole series, it's no secret now that it's the 2 Texas stadiums. And if you want me to go out there before the end of this season, then what you can do is, first of all, be sure to like this video because that really will help us out. Be sure to share this video with any friends who you think might enjoy it. Be sure to comment and let me know if you think I'm an idiot for my ranking systems, as some of you have, and I appreciate you. But most importantly, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell because that's the best thing that you can do to tell me, yes, you want me to go to those last 2 stadiums and make that final push and get the Western Division done this season. In 1995, Phoenix was awarded an expansion franchise along with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. In 1997, owners of existing MLB teams voted to put the Diamondbacks in the National League. Chase Field was built during a wave of new baseball-only parks in the 1990s. Although nearly all of those parks were open air, it was taken for granted that a domed stadium was a must for a major league team to be viable in the Phoenix area. Construction of the park began in 1996 and was finished just before the Diamondbacks' first season in 1998. The stadium was called Bank One Ballpark. After Bank One merged with J.P. Morgan Chase in 2005, Chase assumed the naming rights and the stadium's name was changed to Chase Field. So this time I did something I've never done before, and I realized, I don't know why, it's probably the thing to do. And that was, I asked somebody who worked here, what do you think is the best hot dog that they sell here at the stadium? And what he told me was that it was the Diamondback Dog that is sold here at doubleheaders. So, that is what I'm going to get. But anyway, so he also said that they sell a special hot dog every game that represents the region of the team that they're playing. So I guess they're going to do, like I know Cincinnati is a famous style of hot dog, which I've never had. Never been to Cincinnati, actually. So I'll be going there eventually as part of this series, I guess. But at any rate, I told him I want a regular old hot dog, and he said the best thing to get is a Diamond Dog. It's not a very big hot dog, but you know, size is not important. What's important is the taste. Actually, it may be small, but it looks really good. So let's see. Okay. That's not a very good hot dog. I'm pretty sure it's a beef hot dog, which I do not approve of.
Yeah, I know that's like the hardest.
I'm actually going to go back where I bought it and I'm going to look and see if it says whether it's a beef hot dog. I don't like beef hot dogs. Texture is not great. Snap is okay. Flavor, eh. The bun is kind of doughy. No Dodger Dog. If it weren't for the Dodger Dog, this would definitely be the worst hot dog I've had in the ballpark. Oh well, what are you gonna do? All right, let's rate and rank Chase Field. Now, in terms of historical significance, frankly, the park does not really have much historical significance at all, except for the fact, as I always say, there is some historical significance associated with a new ballpark being built in any city, especially when it's the first in the state, I guess. It doesn't really have any unique features that I could find. It doesn't really have any firsts or anything like that. It's just another stadium that was built in the 90s. I give it a 6 for historical significance. The location is quite good. It's an urban setting in so much as you can find an urban setting anywhere in Phoenix, frankly. And yet, even though it's an urban setting, it actually does have a pretty sizable parking lot. There is also a light rail station nearby. Now, when I was there, it was extremely hot, so I really couldn't kind of explore the area, but I looked around like in Google Maps and stuff, and it looks like there were quite a few restaurants and bars and that sort of thing in the area. One of the few things I can really ding them on in terms of location is that the building doesn't really have anything to do with its surroundings. It doesn't kind of fit into its surroundings. It's just kind of like a big box that was plopped right down there in the middle of the city. But then, like Angel Stadium, there really isn't much in the area for them to kind of tie into anyway. I'm giving them an 8.5 for location. In terms of exterior aesthetics, even though Chase Field isn't as kind of aggressively ugly as Oakland Alameda Park, it still is by no means an attractive building. The interior is definitely nicer, but frankly I was a little taken aback when I first walked in because the idea of seeing a baseball game being played in what was essentially an indoor arena was just kind of weird. I'd never experienced a game in an indoor arena before, but after the shock of that wore off, I realized that the interior of the building was pretty pleasant, actually. Nothing special, but nice. I give it a 2 for the exterior and a 3.5 for the interior aesthetics, giving it a total of 5.5. The food selections seemed to be quite good. Yes, the hot dog was awful, but everything else looked to be pretty nice. It looked like they had a pretty varied selection, and the food that I saw other people ordering looked to be pretty good. I did like the fact that there were several regional selections like tamales and empanadas and that sort of thing. Even though there weren't really any kind of higher end selections that I noticed, most of it was pretty run-of-the-mill type stuff. Now the merchandise was the best I've seen, even better than Oakland. There was a huge and varied selection and a lot of stuff that kind of really spoke to the Diamondback fandom, which is something I really like. There was even a shirt with the logo of the ballpark, even though frankly I didn't really like it personally, so I didn't get it. I got this one instead. Now this is the way that a team store should be. Lots of fun, varied, and interesting merchandise, and something for everyone. They get a 4 for food and a perfect 5 for merchandise, giving them 9 for food and merchandise. Now I have to confess to being a bit conflicted in terms of the game viewing experience. The seating was good, the seats were comfortable, and where I was sitting in the field level seats, they were angled nicely towards home plate. It looked like the view of the Jumbotron and the scoreboards and everything was pretty good from everywhere except the outfield seats, which definitely did not have a good view of the Jumbotron. Now the upper seats seem to me to be unusually far back from the field. It's a fairly large stadium. It holds about 48,500 according to Wikipedia. So I guess it's pretty big, but I mean a lot of stadiums are just as big. But the seats were also, I don't know, it felt like they were pushed back a little bit or something. They weren't hanging over the field, which is something that you see in a lot of stadiums. Now my conflict comes from it being an indoor stadium. Yes, I realize that it is a retractable roof and that they can open it and all that, but my understanding is that for most of the season, and during the summertime especially, that they keep it closed pretty much all the time. To me, I just feel like baseball is a game that is meant to be played outdoors, preferably during the day, and preferably on real grass. On the other hand, being indoors actually kind of made it easier to follow the game. You had a much better view of the ball, so you could actually see where the ball was going when it was in play, which is something that you can't always see when you're watching a day game. In the end, I think there was more good than bad, and I'm going to give Chase Field an 8 for game viewing experience. Now the vibe was not awful, but not great. The crowd frankly seemed a bit lackadaisical. It was Hispanic Heritage Week, and frankly, the people in the stands seemed to be more into that than they were into the game. I remember making a comment when we saw the Rockies that it felt like the Jumbotron operators were basically begging the crowd to get into the game. And I kind of had the same sense with this game as well. It wasn't even close to a sellout crowd, and the crowd really just didn't seem to be all that into it unless something big happened like a home run or something like that. I'm giving Chase Field a 4 for overall vibe. That gives Chase Field a total of 41, placing them here tied with Dodger Stadium. While the location and the food and merchandise were both very good, it just doesn't really hold up in the other categories. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Jaunts with John T. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please be sure to give us a like, as that really does help out the channel. I really enjoyed going to Petco Park in San Diego, as well as Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. Now here at Jaunts with John T, we go on jaunts around the world, around the country, around the state, around the city, sometimes just around the house. If that sounds like fun to you, then why don't you hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell, because that way you'll be notified of any future videos, including any future videos I put out in my quest to go to every major league ballpark in the country and one in Canada. And also, if you want to see a playlist of all of the major league ballparks that I've been to, you can just click right here. That's going to do it for now. I am John T, and until I can figure out a better sign-off, thanks for watching.